Wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Hello, darling.
Well, good morning and welcome back. It is time for week 2 of the scary, spooky Halloween Frigger fight, otherwise known as the modeling group that has no discernible name because I keep shifting it every time. And we're back at Michael Myers, the creature, Elvira. And I've got some more ideas for later on in the month if I finish with these guys pretty quickly. So let's catch you up with where we are right now. Okay, over the weekend, or before the weekend started, I put a satin coat on the jumpsuit and immediately regretted it because I don't like how dark that is now. I know the color is supposed to be a very dark greenish black, which is very close to NATO black. But you know how sometimes you can be working with Tamiya colors and you can inadvertently scratch them because they're kind of delicate. So I put a protected coat of a satin over top of that, and like I said, I immediately regret it because it makes it look too well, it makes it look too glossy. So what I'm going to do is maybe do some highlighting on this and then hit it with a flat coat, and hopefully that'll take that too perfectness out of it. But it's also, I had some nice variations of color going in on there and they all turned straight to black, so I'm going to see what I can work back in there. The big news is the couch has been finished with its flocking, and you saw the front of it, there's the back of it, and there goes the phone. Right, that was getting back to the flocking on the couch, which I am very upon happy with. For a first experiment in flocking, I really like that. So now I'm going to touch up the wood and the cloth that's underneath there, the dust cover that's underneath there, and be able to get on to put some highlighted, some maybe a gold rub on that, I don't know, but be able to get Elvira's couch finished. Like I said, very happy with how that turned out. And I'm probably going to spend more time on getting this porch settled out now, because I am now that I've got the base coats on it, I can and I pre-weathered the railings. I'm going to go back in and re-whiten those up a bit. I just put in some pre-shading on that and get the mailbox off of there. But things like the steps and the porch deck, I went in and weathered, and now I can knock some of that back down. I'm overall happy with how it looks. I like the color choices, but I just need to go in and clean them up a bit, and I got to figure out exactly how the sound chip is going to be embedded in the porch and what I'm going to use as the button to activate it, all that kind of fun stuff. And I think what I'm going to do, because I'm not a big fan of how this attaches here, is I may take this overall base and sit it down on something else and give it a little bit more dimension, whether that's a unifying piece of plastic to go behind there, or whether it's a chunk of wood or what, I'm not quite sure. Just something to help this floor, because this is nice and solid, but then the floor falls out. Maybe I just have to run a piece of plastic between the two of those just to, like I said, to give it some strength in the back there. So lots of things to think about, lots of things to do this week. Gonna light the pumpkin, obviously, and I've been gathering research on colors for everything over the week. I have an expert friend of mine who is, I consider, an expert in all things creature, and he's given me wonderful advice as far as what colors to use on the creature and not to make it all the day glow colors that you would normally see it in. There was a resurgent movement of pop art where they insisted that the lips on that were red, and they are not. The creature has pink around the under the gills and a little bit of pale around the gullet there, but it is never red. So we're working on all that. This is just getting my mind straight on what all I'm going to be doing this week, so I need to start setting things down in order. The weather outside is not exactly frightful, but it's not going to be conducive to a lot of taking things outside and spraying them. So I am going to have to start picking at this as best I can. So if I sound distracted and scattered, I probably am, as we get into this second week of the spooky, frightening fest of whatever we're gonna. Maybe I might put Elvira on the porch there, and put Mike Myers reclining on the couch. Things like that. Enough of this. Let's get on with it. Here we are on Monday afternoon, and I've just gone through and I'm touching a little bit of everything at a time, just throwing in some color massing. I've got the pumpkin started, starting to pick at some of these leaves and get the fall foliage colors in. I'm never going to be happy, I don't think, with the greens on the creature, so I'm constantly playing and shifting greens. I don't want to build up too many coats of paint, so to the point where I start losing detail. But so I got to wrap my head around what exactly it is I want to do and make that happy. Now, I've gone over the coveralls here with a lighter coat of the NATO black with some green mixed into it to give the highlights, and I like that a lot better than it was looking too dark and I wasn't seeing any of the detail in there anymore. So now I think a flat coat will kind of finish that off, and then I can go in and paint that t-shirt color, and this chunk of Michael Myers will be done, and I'll be down to painting his shoes and his hands and head. Start playing with the Kirk hair here, laying in the different variations of browns and sandy blondes and all of that, and that's looking good. Playing with the wood colors on the porch, trying to give some breakup on that so that they're not so monolithic and ugly. That's pretty much it at this point. Oh, started playing with the chandelier for Elvira, and just little incidentals here and there. But I think I'm to the point where I need to start finishing off chunks, and I'm ready to start finishing this off. I just need to recoat the white to bring it back up. I don't want it to be clean, crisp, clear white, because houses never stay white. The day after you paint white paint on a house, it starts to fade. So I will mask this edge of the boards off and then just give a light misting of white back over top of that to kind of bring some of that out. I might paint some moss in around the lattice work and things like that to show some vibrancy there, some detail. And like I said, I'm playing with the colors of the leaves, and clean this off and paint the white back on that. And then I could start, eliminating things. I've been painting in the rocks and the sand, obviously, and putting some vegetation in here and stuff like that, some detail. But as I am working this stuff in, I need to start finishing them and getting them off the board, and getting down to the things that I have really got to do. And knowing my cowardly way of painting, I know my flesh tones will probably be last, whether it's on Elvira or the victim, which I have painted her hair in or started to, and or Michael Myers' hands, and which will be a darker brown, or darker flesh tone, a more ruddy flesh tone on the hands and on the little bits of the head that you see. But I can start picking at those things, and like I said, once I know it's going to be an aha moment. Once I get the right aha color for the creature, I'm going to want to do that all over. And he's not all of that difficult to do once you have settled on a color. It's pretty uniform. So once I strike that balance, then I probably will be able to zip through him pretty quickly. Playing with the fern again, that goes like that. And playing with the undersea plant, that goes like that. And I need to put a wash over the rocks and things, but it's coming along. It's not going very quickly, but it's going. So we'll start eliminating some of these pieces off of the table here. Well, hello and welcome back. It is Tuesday, and it's time to start winnowing this mess down into a more manageable size. Still going around picking at details, and I need to concentrate on stuff and actually get it finished rather than picking on a little bit of everything, because that just gets annoying after a while. So I have put my energies into getting this the base ready for Michael Myers. I've got the leaves painted. I got the flat finishes on the grass and on the wood. Got the semi-gloss finish on the white paint. Got that aged in a little bit. Got the leaves painted and painting in the candies. And most importantly, I've got the pumpkin ready to go. I've got one of those fake flames to sit up inside. So I need to glue that guy down and get everything ready. I'm going to put in a bottom and a back side for the porch, so I need to decide where my sound card is going to go and where the switch to turn it on and all that stuff is going to go. So let's start tackling this stuff bit by bit here. It is what's Wednesday, or no, it's Tuesday afternoon, and work continues. And as usual, I was making things too complicated for myself, overthinking things, as is my wont. I mounted the soundboard into the bottom of the porch here, and I was thinking of making room for that too, but I realized, no, I've got these perfectly open grates right here. Let's just try those. So I stuck the speaker up against the grate, turned it on, and it sounded great. So I decided to just hot glue it in place and keep everything nice and neat. I don't have to worry about sticking that big old tube in there, but I've got the front porch glued onto the sidewalk, or the steps glued onto the front porch. The pumpkin is in place. He's puttied down. I've got a spot to run the light up through it. I'm still trying to figure out where is best to put the battery pack. I think I'm just going to put it in the crevice of those steps there. And I got to figure out the best way to make a switch, or the best place, or the best thing to do with the switch for the music. I was trying to be clever, and I thought maybe if I made this mask here that's supposed to sit there, if I made it, made the mask the button, that could be fun. I still have the bag of candy that needs to go down, along with everything else. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of work here to do yet. I've got to finish the porch and finish Michael and finish everything else. So there's a lot of finishing work to do, but he's coming along quite nicely. All I got to do now is tackle those eyes, which, are the last thing I want to do, because those are my nemesis. I don't like doing eyes, so I've got that to go. But I've also been working on Elvira, getting her legs puttied in and sculpted in, because there were some awkward creases and seams there. So those have been taken care of, and once that dries and I can tool it a little bit better, then I will feel better about doing some final paint on her. Let's see, Creature's kind of living in creature land for right now, and the victim is also, well, she's over here. She's over here next to the couch. I thought I could make her, faint on the fainting couch, but after getting the flesh color on here, which I kind of like, and I kind of sanded that back a little bit, I'm looking to see where I have seams that still might need a little bit of work before I can feel good about putting him in her arms and putting her in his arms, so to speak. And of course the couch you've seen, and now that flocking has had a number of days to dry, I can go in and start doing the last bit of work on the woodwork and the underneath stuff. And this draping rest of Elvira's slinky gown. So, but I'm trying to get stuff done, completely done, so that I can move on to the next thing rather than running around and touching every little thing. If I can concentrate on some stuff, it's good to start them all at one time, but you really can't finish them all at one time. Somebody has to cross the finish line first, and that's where I'm working at right now. Okay, back from lunch on a Tuesday, and it's time for me to take a break, because I got brave and started painting black things. I put on a base coat of Elvira's dress, because I reasoned that it was easier to mask the dress and paint the skin in than it is to paint to mask the skin and paint the dress in. So I decided to do that. I may regret that, but that's what I decided. Excuse me. And I got real brave and went to painting the eyes in on Michael. So, ooh, there's your scary look right there. There's your view. But I have to compliment how well the eyes are sculpted or molded into the kit, because they take paint just in the right places, and they have like little grooves in there that naturally stop the paint from pooling up. I just love it. So better left alone. Let the stuff dry and then come back to it. See, I've got the shoes on Michael. He's starting to come together now. I'm thinking that I want to put some mud on his shoes and on his pants. A little bit of weathering, so to speak. I've got the mailbox painted. That's ready to go. I need to do the numbers on it. Let's see. I put some sun wash flesh over the skin so that I can ruddy that up a bit and then hit it with a highlighter. And that's it. Let's take a break. And welcome back. It is Wednesday, and I'm going to get Michael Myers finished today, I'm pretty sure. This morning I took him out and gave him a good flat coat spraying, and it really brought out some of the tones and the shades in his coveralls. And it also flattened down the mud on his shoes and pant legs to something that I like better. I've gone in this morning and I've just painted in some moss. And, you know, anybody who has any white paint on their house knows that the moss or the mildew is going to show up sooner or later and give you that distinct green color. So did that on some of the white around the porch to kind of break up all of that, make it look not so new anymore. And let's see, I'm painting in the candies this morning, and I've got one last job to do, and that is to dirty up the hands. And oh, I've got to finish the knife. I don't have the knife done yet. Probably the most important part. But I've got the knife to do. I've got the hands to do, and once those are done, I can glue those in. And I want to touch the skin one more time on both the hands and on the neck. I'm very happy with the eyes. Everything is looking good there. But before I put the head on, I want to touch the skin on that neck one last time. And then he'll be ready to glue in. The railings are ready to go down. I still need to fix something for the button to activate the sound, and I think I want to do it with this mask here. I'm just not exactly sure how that mechanism is going to work yet, so I'm still noodling that out. And then while I'm doing that, I'm kind of busying myself with the candy and stuff to try to give myself I'm stalling is what I'm doing. I'm stalling. And then I've had to install the light on the pumpkin, and I'll probably just put a piece of Velcro on the bottom of that and just stick it up underneath. I'm not going to do anything fancy about hiding the switch on that. But let me see. I attached the mailbox this morning, and you see I got the 1031 painted on there. A little bit of nerve-wracking work there last night, I'll tell you. But then he'll be off the table, and I can get back onto Elvira and the creature. I was doing this morning, and this actually kind of works. If you wanted to put Elvira on the front porch, you could do that. You might want to, if you were doing it seriously, you'd bend that other leg. But hey, if you did something like that, she could be on Michael Myers' porch. Or, just mix and match. You put the creature on Michael Myers' porch. They're all the same scale, so no pun intended. I said scale about the creature. I didn't mean to. Anyway, I need more coffee. Righty then, I don't know whether I mentioned it earlier, but we've got yet another hurricane bearing down on us in this area. Hurricane Michael is currently making landfall in Florida and expected to come up here tomorrow. So we'll see whether we have a repeat of the Florence event or not. But I digress. Michael Myers is finished, except for one more unifying flat coat over all that, I think. But he's, for all intents and purposes, done. Like I said, a couple little touchy-uppies before he's completely finished, but I generally really like how that turned out. The base is done, with the exception of gluing in the candy bag here and figuring out what to do with this switch. I want to put the mask over that and then make the mask function as the switch for the music, but that's mostly done. Oh, I gotta put the back. Last thing I want to do is put the back of the porch in, just a piece of to cover that up, and put some black felt on it, and that'll be done. So we're getting very close to finishing off one kit. I got another good base coat of the skin color on Elvira. She's coming up nicely. So we'll let that dry, and then I'll take the masking off around her dress. And then we'll get on to the obvious what's got left to be going on with the creature and the victims. So let me take a break. I need to put a gloss coat on this mask before I do anything else with it. Okay, one last bit that needs doing, and that is to mount Michael onto the porch. Now this is a very, very precarious pose. It really wants to act like he's pitching right off the front. So this little peg in the right heel is not enough for me. I wanted to go ahead and put another peg in the left toe and actually secure that down to a spot on the top of the porch so that he doesn't want to topple forward. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the steel stick epoxy putty. I'm going to squish that around the feet and actually sink him into the deck with that. It's what I use to sit the pumpkin down on. It just makes a nice base, and because it's blackish gray, it has a tendency to disappear once you have worked it in right. So a couple tiny bits of that to secure him to the porch, and he will be ready. Okay, there's your finished Michael Myers. First one out. First one finished across the finish line. Morning everyone, it's Thursday and I'm doing a little bit of rug work. I am trying to find some nice colors to go on the Elvira carpeting. No drapes to match, just a rug. Don't worry about that. So, finding some colors that I like to go together. I thought it would be a nice touch to put this little gold applique at the end there. So now I've got the highlight colors, and I'm trying to come up with a nice emerald green, dark emerald green, to stain that or wash inside the crevices on this strip around here to darken that up a bit. So this is where the fun part of painting comes in, because you're just experimenting and you're playing, and not to sound like Bob Ross, but it's a happy little carpet. It's a happy little rug. You can do whatever colors you want. There's no mistakes, just happy accidents. Okay, I'm working on the fun part of my job now, which is researching Elvira's skin tones. And here's the thing you learn. Normal person's skin, Elvira's skin. It's a little bit lighter. It's not white face. It's not Johnny Depp white. It's not Willy Wonka white or anything like that. It is just a little bit paler than normal skin tones. The eye makeup is, the coloration is a pinkish eyeshadow that goes, way up past her eyebrows. Of course, it's a very huge eyeliner and eyelashes. Red lipstick, but not overly sized. It's not Joker makeup. It's very traditional makeup, but more of that pinkish color over the whole eye socket here. A little bit of highlighting under the cheeks, black nail polish. The other big thing is that at least in this movie, which is Elvira Haunted Hills, I'm not going to run into trouble with their copyright people, so I'm not going to show any of it. But let's close that back out. But the important thing is that her legs are pantyhose. They are stockings. I don't know if they're pantyhose, but they are stockings. So they'll need to be tinted almost like a smoke color. Almost. I'm going to try that out to see whether. The trouble is the trick is going to be to get it even so that it doesn't look blotchy. So that's going to be the hard part. But so we've got tinted legs. We've got powdered, a little bit whiter than normal skin. We've got the pink eye makeup, the heavy eyeliner. Again, like you see, this eyeliner is drawn down. Scroll in here real close. Come on. There you go. Focus. The whites stop up here. Yeah, the whites stop up here, but the very thin black line goes down there. It's accentuated. This mole is a little bit too big and a little bit too low, so I think I might cut that off and redraw the beauty mark up there where it should be. But these are the things you have to think about when you get ready to paint Elvira. A little bit lighter, you know, you don't want to give her, certainly don't want to give her suntanned skin. A little bit of white highlight. I don't want to put too much white into it, but I do definitely want to make it a lighter skin tone. Okay, I've tried this one method and I don't think it's going to work out after all, and that is to use the famous Comart smoke over the flesh tone to give the hose or the stockings look. I don't think that's going to work, so I think we're going to have to cover this up and go with a flesh color that's got the built-in stocking look to it and put that all at once rather than putting stockings, you can't see me air quoting, but stockings over the flesh tone. So we'll let that dry and then we'll cover it up and start again. And welcome back. It is Friday, and as you can see by the lack of anything huge on here on the table this morning, I am doing a lot of accessory painting. These kits have a lot of accessories that come with them, a lot of set dressings, if you will. And that's what I'm taking care of, some stuff today. Most notably, I'm working on Gonk the Pooch, which is on the Elvira couch. I just need to do some more blending on that. Some creepy crawlies for under the rug and things like that. Now, these are a little bit more, obviously more comedic in vein, so not to be painted up seriously and ghoulishly like you would if you were painting, you know, a realistic, you know, rotting corpse or something. They're obviously meant to be comic, so the colors are a little bit brighter. The visceralness is not there. You know, you're not trying to disgust anybody. So working on the bones and the skull and things like that. Also working on the body of the creature. The thing about painting the creature is it's in black and white, so you can pretty much do free reign as far as the exact colors that you choose. Everybody kind of agrees that it's green with a pale tummy, but what actual colors you use are kind of up to you. This one's starting to look a little bit too much like a slee stack though, so I think I might want to tone that yellow down to make it a paler color. But I'm liking the way that the wash is making the detail come out, and that's just, you know, Comart smoke over top of the greens, and it's doing a nice deal there. Now, it's still kind of a Kelly green, and I'm not wild about that. I want more of a olive green, so I may go over it, mist it with an olive color to kind of dull that back down. And of course, the big money object is getting the head right and looking at references. And although you see a lot of references for it, it's not exactly right to have the lips being red. I don't know where that came from, but it shouldn't be. So I'm trying to paint in some gill representation, and again, maybe I'm being too literal with it and making it too realistic rather than what the costume looked like. So I may have to dumb that down a little bit. And let's see. Oh, I've got the furniture legs being painted. I'm going to put a nice gloss coat on those before I attach them to the couch. And then we're nothing left but to do the fabulous ladies, the victim and Elvira over there, as far as getting the skin tones done. So yes, it's true. I may be stalling so that I don't have to do that, but I'm also doing vital work. I'm taking care of these other things. So get off my back. But let's continue on Mr. Creature here. I don't know what exactly it was that possessed me to do it, but I just took a little bit of the old deck tan. Just a little bit of deck tan over the whole thing, and it knocked down the yellowness of his stomach, and it also brought out some nice highlights on some of the bumps and wumps there. So I think we're going to let the body sit for a good long while until I decide whether I'm done with it or not. Still working on the head, and that deck tan also did some nice things there. I got to think about painting in the eyes and what little of the mouth you see, and taking and doing some shading. Again, the model does a lot of the shading for you, so all you need to do is put the color on and then let the light hit it. You don't have to artificially paint in a lot of shading, which is true in life. I mean, you don't really necessarily, if you're painting someone's face, the light casts across the face and it's going to put in the dark areas. You don't have to go necessarily paint those in. You end up looking overly made up sometimes when you do that. Now, it's true you put rouge in on cheeks and things like that, but I mean, you don't necessarily paint the underside of an arm darker than the light side, than the top side of it, if you see what I mean. But I think what I want to do is put a satin coat on you, because he is supposed to be a wet creature. So if I put a satin coat on that, not a high gloss, but a satin coat on that, that'll give me my more vibrant colors, and it'll also tell me where I might still need to do a little bit of work, and get you closer to his final finish. And which, when you say someone that has got a final finish, it's kind of redundant, because it's the finish. Of course it's final. I'm sorry, it's Friday, I'm rambling, and I need another cup of coffee. It's Friday afternoon, and I am finishing up some odds and ends here. Just put a coat of clear over the woodworking part of the couch here, so that it can be done. I'm kind of working from the bottom up. I've got the rug done. Carpeting is done. I've got to add like the little carpet monsters and things like that to it. Obviously, there's lots of details like adding gonk to the couch, things like that. But couch is mostly done. I'm trying not to disturb the flocking too much, even though it's good and solid and down. There's no sense, begging for trouble. So that is more or less done. I'm going to put a little bit of gold accents on the legs and just up in here, but I wanted to have the clear coat on that and dried before I did that. Let's see, the young lady goes like this. So that's giving you an idea of how the whole thing will look when it's finished. I found a nice pale flesh color that I'm going to try to hit the pale flesh with, obviously, to get that further along. I kind of got sidetracked into Creature Land by working on the creature a lot and the head of said creature. Obviously, some more work to be done in there, but I'm finding that less is more on the paintwork. The more subtle it is, the better it looks. When I try to put, striking bits of contrast in, it looks more artificial and not good. So playing with that, working more on the base for said creature, more or less done. I need to there, I gotta find out exactly what the best way to put that tree in, but okay, there is a flat end. Oh, it goes like that. There you go. Okay, now it's in. So it looks like, fake aquarium plants. So I may end up putting some fake aquarium plants in it to dress it up a little bit more. But probably the thing that's got the least amount of work done on it is, the least amount of work done on it is the victim here. Only because, and there goes the phone. Okay, it may have come from the most unlikely of sources, but I think I've got the two color breaks on Elvira that I wanted. The lighter flesh color, and B, the darker stocking color. And they both came from, believe it or not, craft paints. This is the color I used, Territorial Beige, for her legs, and I used the Pale Flesh Game Color for her skin. I had to sneeze. But I basically just, took a brush and just brushed it on over the other paint. Didn't try to load it up in the airbrush. Didn't try to get too fancy with it. Just, good old-fashioned stick the brush in the jar and put the paint on. And it's thin enough that it doesn't give a brush stroke. Of course, we're going to let this dry and see how well it dries. But I'm thinking take the tape off of this and put a flat coat of overspray on it, and then I'll be ready to paint that face. Ooh, I think maybe before I do that, I probably should try the eye makeup color. That again, it's almost the same magenta as is in Gonk here, but not as strong. But I'm thinking that I may want to try a bit of that and maybe a little bit of rouging before I seal it up. But we're getting close to the end of the workday on Friday, so I don't know how much more I'm going to get done before I close up shop. Okay, this is where we're going to sit with Elvira for the week. I just put a flat coat on the lovely lady and set it on the couch just to see how it's going to rest. And it doesn't quite. There is some stuff that needs work on. The elbow here comes nowhere near the elbow on the couch. This one fits a little better, but back here, but it doesn't sit. It just doesn't sit in the space quite right. Let me put the hair on to see how that's going to help. That's going to help a little bit. That's going to help a little bit. Let me try to show what it looks like with the front hair on. Hold on. Okay, I can push it down onto the couch a little bit more, and it does come closer, but does not quite touch yet, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. Doesn't look quite right. Maybe I'll make a throw pillow or some sort of, throw rug to go over that arm there that might take up some of that weight. This back elbow here resting on the couch I can live with. Gonna need to sculpt, I think, some sort of bit of robe there that will join these two pieces so that it'll look like the robe is actually, or the gown is actually coming down over that. The back leg doesn't fit too badly. I was afraid of that foot sticking up in the air, but by the time you put the shoe on it, it's not that bad. Even if I can just make the heel touch the couch, then that'll work. And of course this leg is just hanging off into space, so it's not that big an issue by the time you put the shoe on there. And Gonk takes up a good amount of space here, so that all works. But where it's not successful is right there. Like I said, I don't know what kind of creative thing I could come up with to take care of that, but I have to do something. But that's where Elvira's going to rest for the week. Of course, we've got Michael Myers in the other room. He's completely finished. And we are almost done with the creature here. Almost, I say. I still want to put one more pass on that head. Tone down those gills a little bit more. Get that a little bit more into the greener territory. Then it's going to be a question of putting a satin coat on him, which I think I'm going to do now anyway. So that I could start working on the victim, and every time I put the victim anywhere close, it ends up scratching the paint off of it. So that's something that needs to get a bit of protecting before I can start manhandling the woman, or woman handling the man, however you want to say it. But very happy with these two color variations on her skin. I may yet do just a very light coat. Once this flat coat has dried, I may want to go back into it and look at it again, maybe put another coat on top of it. But whether you saw the gold highlighting on the back of the couch, But yeah, oh, the little creature underneath here, we can see that. But mostly done, not done at all. And Michael is completely done in the other room, so pretty successful week of work. And we're getting closer and closer to finishing. I just wanted to piece this together so that you could see how everything looked once I have it organized. Now, I went in and did a little bit of painting around the eyes, but I'm going to let the rest of that set up. I only can do so much before you always do that. You're painting and painting, and then you do one brush stroke too far, and you've screwed something up. So I'm happy where it is right now. Happy to leave her where she is. And let me get the head glued on the creature here. Get him placed. There you go. He's still missing his left hand because that will go on after the victim is positioned. But I'm very happy with him. Very happy with her for right now. And if I think I need to go bring in, place this right here, even though it's not very far down. But I think what I need to do is go get Michael from the other room, place him in the order with the others so that you can see the collection of the three of them. And here is the class of October 2018. Yeah, let me kill this overhead light here so that you can see them better. Of course, Michael's done, but let me do this. Close in on Michael since he's all nice and done. Elvira's still giving the blank stare. Working on the fish man here. The victim is probably, let me kill that. Victim is probably going to be the hardest part of all of this because not only does it involve painting something to look pretty and realistic and with good flesh tones, the top three things I cannot do, but also there is no, I hate to say there's no defining features, but there really are no defining features on this. It's not like you can accentuate one part over another. Is he going to fall over? Come on. No. But you can see what happens. I mean, look, just from taking that on and off, I have, get out of this afternoon sunlight here. You can see how that's, maybe you can't see it, but it scratches up the paint. And on his back, you can see what it does. So, making the paint a little bit more durable is important, but everything else is looking pretty darn good. Well, that's going to do it. As the sun sinks slowly into the west, it brings us to the end of another week working on the super spooky Mobius Monster Fantasy Festival Fright Fest 2018. Got a lot work done on Elvira that I kind of wasn't expecting to get done. Once I found those flush tones that I liked, it went pretty quickly. Creature is eluding me. His body is mostly done. I'm very happy with getting the face just right. I got to tone down the pink in these gills. I know they're not supposed to be there, but I want them to be there as an undertone. It's gonna be, and I hate to even think about it, but it may be the question of having to disassemble this young lady to get her to lay into the arms the right way. I'm not wild about how the kit is forcing the figure to fit in, so there may be some, dare I say it, dismemberment going on before all is said and done here. And maybe I was premature to attach particularly the left or the right arm before we got too far into this, but I'm just not wild about how she's draping. So there may be some surgery that's done next week. But things are going along very well. Like I said, I finished Michael, so I may be pulling another one off of the another kit off of the rack to put in rotation to get so that I can keep these models going. So until next week, when we will pick these back up and run with them some more, you be good to each other, and we'll see you here next time.